The siting of Ghana's second international airport in Tamale does not make economic sense or viability. Meanwhile, those in favor say it is the best thing to happen up north, as it will provide a key air transport hub for the agro-processing industry and vegetable exports to the European market. So, what informed the decision? Are the critics to such a project just shooting hot air over nothing? Why were other locations like Takoradi, Kumasi, Pram not giving priority over Tamale? My name is Stephen NT, and this is today's big story. Now, the first phase of construction of Ghana's second international airport is to be undertaken solely by the Ghana Airport Company with a $100 million Brazilian facility, and it is expected to be completed by 2015. The president of Ghana on Tuesday broke ground for the project, which, according to a Daily Graphic report, includes a 4,000-meter runway extension, the construction of additional aprons, the installation of aeronautical ground lighting systems, and the construction of a perimeter road and a security fence. So why Tamale? Why not Takoradi? Why not Pram, Kumasi, or even Ho? Joyce Bawa Mogtari is the Deputy Minister of Transport. She's joining us now for some clarity over this. Good evening, Ma'am, and thanks for your time.
Good evening, and thank you very much for speaking to
me. We want to get a fairer understanding of what feasibility studies informed the decision to site an international airport in a place like Tamale.
Thank you very much. I'm wondering why you are asking why an international airport to be sited in a place like Tamale.
Yes.
Remember that this Tamale airport has been in existence for the last 50 years. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of blessed memory saw it fit even then to put up this facility in the northern region to serve that part of Ghana. So we believe that time is long overdue for us to upgrade and expand that facility, and of course to upgrade it to the position of an international airport.
Right. Now the key question... Yeah, sure.
Remember also that the president, as part of his manifesto in 2012, actually assured the people of northern Ghana that to create a vibrant economic atmosphere and to open up the place for further investment, that airport would need to be upgraded and expanded to be able to, to be able to receive wide-bodied aircraft. Of course, we are also looking at ready access to markets for the farm produce that's located in that part of Ghana. So we are also looking at creating jobs for our people. So yes, there's a very good reason why at this time the Tamale airport is being upgraded and expanded and being received now as international airport.
So this is merely a campaign promise fulfilled. That's a fulfillment of a political party manifesto. Is that how you see it?
That is one reason. Secondly, that airport has been in line for an upgrade for a very long time. In fact, since 2008, plans have been made to upgrade and expand that facility. Remember that Kotoka International Airport presently is the only international airport we have here in Ghana. It is currently resting at its seams with congestion, is inundated with several aircraft, both international and domestic. So yes, it is actually right for us as a country to develop another international airport. I think you mentioned Takoradi, you mentioned Ho, you mentioned Kumasi. Remember that just like Tamale, Kumasi is currently undergoing serious expansion works as well. The runway is being expanded, aeronautical lights are going to be installed so that flights can fly that route day and night. But remember also that Tamale, Kumasi has been constrained by encroachment on airport land. It has made it very difficult for us to expand to a certain extent. In fact, considering an expansion of this nature would require for us to probably relocate the facility from its current location.
And that will be extra cost, I reckon.
Inform the decision to upgrade the Tamale airport at this time.
Okay, so Ma'am, I'll have you hold. I'm joined on the other line by Joe Bedu-Ansah, who is a former Minister of Aviation. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my brother. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you. Now, under the previous administration, were there any groundworks done, or perhaps I should say feasibility studies to establish the viability of an international airport in Tamale?
Well, let me say this, that under the Kufu administration, we actually did some work in Tamale, and that is for the CAN 2008.
Okay.
For the CAN 2008, we did some work. And so the aircraft that came from South Africa and other places in Tamale landed there.
There.
So, okay. Yes, there's been some work
that
there.
plan. Okay. So,
and if that is international, yes, planes have landed there from international destinations before.
But you think that upgrading, going on record to upgrade an international airport, the Tamale airport, to an international status, so bigger aircrafts and bigger carriers, maybe Delta Airline and the rest, can land there, you think it's a bad idea or a good one?
Well, I think anything that expands our infrastructure is good. I don't know. I've not seen what is going into this, but what I can say is that I'm surprised. If you look at the numbers, we should be looking at the numbers again. The money that is going into the expansion. Well, I don't know what they are putting in, but Tamale has a very long airstrip. It has that is the I have been there. I was there with Samson Ojay, who's currently the Air Force commander, or we went around and he told me that in 2008 aircraft from other international destinations landed there. What we did was that after doing the runway and other things, we had to bring in customs and immigration to the place to be able to clear them. I don't know how much what they are doing now, but I look at the numbers and I think it's scary.
Scary. I mean, when you say scary, I need to get a clearer understanding. You're worried that government is putting in $100 million for the first phase. Is that the scary part? Or you feel that $100 million could get more, much more than what we're getting? That is, if we start the construction?
Money part, because if you take Tamale Airport, the runway is actually longer than maybe even Takoradi.
Okay.
Okay, as we have now. I don't know whether what they are going to do really would have to take that much money that they are putting in.
Right. Let me go to Madam Joyce Bauer. Madam, you heard the analysis from former.
Well, but you see, basically, he has answered my questions in exactly the same fashion. If even at the time of CAN 2000, they thought it fit to allow these aircraft to land in that airport, it means then that there is a good case for us expanding and upgrading the facility. Remember that a lot of studies have gone into this project. The current runway was acquired in 1940.
Yeah, 1940.
That is way long time ago. I am sure that at the time when that land was acquired and that facility being developed, there were several concerns. I'm sure people use the same terms that he's using. The numbers are scary, the figures are scary. But he hasn't actually given any substantive explanation which makes it scary.
Right.
If it was okay to do it then, I think it's still okay to do it even now. Remember that this is a country of 25 million people. We are looking at developing our infrastructure. The only way we can achieve the actual middle income status is for us to improve upon our infrastructure. That how many years after independence, we still only have one international airport, leaves a lot to be desired. Kotoka International Airport has served this purpose. It is bursting at its seams. Government has thought it wise to upgrade and expand the Tamale Airport and upgrade it to an international airport. The Kumasi Airport is currently undergoing serious facelifts. Remember that Takoradi is currently operating from an Air Force base, and we are even looking for land to relocate the current domestic aspect of it, because the Air Force was a secure area, and for security reasons, it is not right that we have domestic aircraft flying that Air Force base, Takoradi.
Madam,
so that location you are talking about in Takoradi is not actually for the Ghana Airport Company Limited. It is an Air Force base, and they are only allowing the private and business aircraft to use it for the time
Madam, there
being.
have been questions. I beg your pardon, I'll cut you in briefly. There have been questions about economic viability. If you look at the fact that in constructing a new international airport in Tamale might require a lot more investments into auxiliary services, into finding linkage roads and into finding the services that perhaps already existed in places like Accra and Takoradi. Takoradi, for example, could argue for a good case for the international airport to be sited there because we have the oil industry springing up there. And an international airport could be more economical in servicing the oil industry and perhaps at the end paying for itself more quickly than if you took it to Tamale, for example, where income levels are low. You have to invest more into getting the roads up to scratch. If British Airways is landing in Tamale, for example, and people are bored of disembarking in Tamale, they will need transportation back to Accra, whether by road or by air, whether the necessary available hotels for them to lodge in if they decide to transit a day or two before coming to Accra. So there is a broader discussion about really whether at this time the investment of $100 million into an international airport in Tamale can pay off.
I said it can pay off. Presently, there's a very vibrant aviation sector in this country. Tamale is home to most of our farms. They require a ready access to ready market. Tamale is home to a teaching hospital of international repute, and we are hoping that we can encourage medical tourism. Tamale is also home to several of the tourist attractions in this country, and we are hoping to expand our tourist industry. Tamale is also home to several of our pilgrims who undertake this annual pilgrimage each and every year. If the current runway is not strong enough to withstand the vagaries of receiving large-bodied aircraft, it is a good case for us to upgrade and expand it from its current status.
Right.
And so they need to develop it into an international airport. Remember that all the other things you are mentioning would form part of phase 2, which will comprise the construction of a terminal building, all the other amenities which we have mentioned. Because remember that the modern trend is for us to develop aerotropolises, and that is what we're doing. You gave an example of Takoradi. Presently, as we speak, Takoradi, we have just acquired land. So we are going to construct a green field, which is a totally new airport. It's going to start from the design stage, from the soil testing, locating the facility, and what have you. Yes, we have just discovered oil in the Western region. That nascent industry would also require an airport. And as I speak to you now, it is on the drawing card. It is so high, actually, on the agenda of the Ghana Airport Company Limited.
Right, I
so
see.
Yes, I'll go back to my point that irrespective of the reservations you have expressed, Tamale is a vibrant economic part of Ghana. Several people in Tamale ply as many routes as we do here in Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi. And yes, people in Tamale would want to travel abroad and not have the inconvenience of stopping in Kumasi or in Accra. What we want to do is to give everybody in Ghana a choice and to open up our facilities for further development. We would also want to create job opportunities. The jobs that are going to arise from this construction would not necessarily be to people who live within the catchment area of Tamale. It will be jobs that are open and available to Ghanaians.
Right.
We have consultants, we have subcontractors, and what have you.
Right.
I think there's a very good case, and as I said earlier, I am sure when Otajifo Kwame Nkrumah decided to cut and break ground for that airport at the time in 1950-something, there were lots of divergences.
Right, Madam, I really would like you to share with us that you told me earlier that a lot of research has been done into this, a lot of studies. I will hold you briefly and go back to Joe Bedouin. So I'll come back to you and get some more details about exactly what has been done and what the numbers say and the figures say. We can work with that. Mr. Joe Bedouin, if you're there, I mean, you heard the numerous arguments that Mrs. Mokhtari has raised. Now, it's key for us to also understand that this is sensitive in a sense that there's been for many years a regional...
It is very
sensitive, especially because people up north and there is that wide gap in developments between north and south. So sometimes people will question why anyone will have any issue with bringing economic activity into Tamale. But on the back of that anyway, you still feel that Tamale as first priority is not exactly okay?
I'm not actually sure. I have to look at the feasibility first. Tamale is part of Ghana, and any part of Ghana that is being developed is good for all of us. I think your argument has been more of how do we pay back the money.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think that is more of the issue. But Tamale is a good place to have an airport. It's part of this country, and people live there. If that airport would be able to employ more people, it would be good for our country. But they have to do whatever to ensure that people get jobs from there. Because you can't just put thinking so much money and in anticipation that people will get jobs.
Right.
And
so
inciting
an airport in any particular place, whether it's going to be in Tamale or it's going to be in Takoradi or Accra, what considerations are key before anybody, any government, whether it's any government decides to site an airport in any particular place? What considerations normally would you make?
Well, I would first want to see that maybe the investment, be able to pay back the investment. I mean, it's business, and if you look at the international airlines issues, I mean, they're all private people are into it.
Right.
So you ask yourself, how do I get someone, maybe Emirates, not Tamale? How do I get British Airways to land in Tamale or KLM to land in Tamale? We have a lot of work to do to ensure that happens.
And what kind of work would need to go into this? I mean, if you say we have a lot of work to do.
That would have to go into it is of course, it's private investment. People are making profit as their consideration. So how do we go to England and talk to the management of British Airways to ensure that the aircraft that leaves London lands in Tamale? I have not seen the feasibility that has gone in, but I think that we need a strategy to ensure that Tamale becomes an international airport.
And you have doubts that British Airways, for example, I mean, I'm gauging from what you're saying that a lot need to go away, and you have doubts that an airline like British Airways will fly into Tamale, especially looking at
I don't have doubts. What I think should be done is that we need to do some work.
Okay.
And I think that your questioning must center around what are we going to do to ensure that it becomes viable, because we are taking off believing that when we put a tag there that it's international airport, then it becomes international. No, it will become international when we see international patronage.
Right.
So the issues must put in perspective that how are we going to ensure that Tamale Airport becomes international?
Right.
Because we have promised the people there that they will get jobs. If it doesn't become international, they won't get jobs. We have promised the people there that it's viable. If it doesn't become international, it will not be viable. So these are the issues that I want us to put in perspective.
Right.
How are we going to ensure that these aircraft that look at profit as their motive fly into Tamale? And it is a job that we all have to ensure that we do. But for now, it is the work of the government. So we would want the government to tell us what they have put in place to ensure. Because if you're able to put in that long runway, yes, for an aircraft, a bigger aircraft to land there, it doesn't mean a bigger aircraft will land there.
Right.
We would want to see what strategies government has got.
Right. Mr. Bedu, you've made your point very clear. We're very grateful for your time on today's Big Story. Joe Bedu is a former aviation minister, and we still have on the telephone line Deputy Minister of Transport, Joyce Bawa Mokhtari. So, Madam, you've heard the arguments.
I haven't heard any arguments that he has made that are actually different from what I'm ascribing.
Okay.
I think for most of the questions you tried to even ask, he was actually not very willing to provide the information that you were asking for. And as I've indicated, look, business is about where you ply your trade. Remember that if Emirates can airlift 2,000 passengers from Tamale Airport, they would go there and pick them up. They would do just that. Airline business is an international business. Presently in Ghana, we have aircraft that stop in Accra, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Liberia, in Sierra Leone. They are all international businesses. I don't think we ask them to stop over. We have bilateral agreements with all of these international aircraft. I don't think anybody will need.
But you do make conditions suitable for them to go there and still be able to break even and make their profits without any problem.
Simple as that, which is why we want to upgrade and expand that facility, which is why we want to build an international airport, which is why we want to raise the status to that of an international airport. Remember that these are all guided by international aviation conventions and regulations.
Right.
So we need to put that airport in a certain shape to attract this sort of business. But when you talk about the fact that you are not sure about the numbers, whether we can provide jobs, even the construction of phase 1 is going to create 500 direct jobs. Only 5% of these jobs will go to Brazilian people. Let's look at the skills and knowledge set that will be transferred to our very own people.
So, Madam, I mean, technically,
I indicated earlier
that's right.
that the people who will be working there will not be just people coming from Northern Ghana. And I would like us all to be very circumspect in the way we go on about whether or not we can repay the facility. This is an agreement that has been scrutinized by the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana.
Right.
We have a commercial agreement between the government of Ghana and the government of Brazil. We have an on-lending agreement which will ensure that Ghana Airport Company Limited repays the loan facility. Remember that the airport tax and charges associated with running the international airport here in Ghana have all been given now to Ghana Airport Company Limited.
Right.
That company has a very healthy balance sheet. I am sure when we finally decide on a location for the airport in Takoradi, we would have the same arguments for and again.
Yeah, Madam, I will have you.
Similar rules will apply even to command.
Madam, I
when
beg
we
your
talk about statistics, a lot of research has gone into this, and we can make that document available to whoever.
We'll be grateful. I know that we don't have a lot of time for us to.
It's a reputable company. You would admit that several feasibility studies have been undertaken, and that this project was not considered likely.
Right.
This
So
is a facility that has existed since 1940.
right, Madam, you've made a clear point. You made a clear point, but I've been trying to get you to give us specifics of the numbers that you've weighed. For example, I mean,
I explained to you earlier, actually, I have no access presently to the statistics.
I understand.
But a lot of feasibility studies
has
have
gone in
this way. As I said,
that's
we
right.
can make those numbers available. But by way of jobs, I will emphasize again, several jobs will be created even with the present phase 1 construction.
Right. Let's get a development planner.
Will be the terminal, and same will happen. As for business, I'm telling you, if you put up a good facility, you have good infrastructure. Nobody will have to invite business. Business will invite itself.
Right. We would like to quickly, Madam, I beg your pardon, we'd like to quickly bring in a development planner to give us a fair view. We're running out of time, so we'll go quickly to Frank Taki, who's a development planner. Frank, we're grateful that you could join us at such a short notice. We've been hearing the arguments. There are people who are questioning the economic viability. The Deputy Minister has clearly stated the importance of such a project up north in terms of creating jobs, in terms of economic activity, making the lives of the people better, and being able to transport people directly from Tamale to Accra. And the President has also said that this is good for the agro-processing industry to an extent that this will provide enough transport for export of vegetables, for example, from the Northern Belt. Do you see this from the perspective of a development planner as positive? Hello, Frank Taki.
Hello?
Yeah, Frank Taki, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me, Mr. Taki?
Your line is faint. Can you speak a little? Yeah.
Right, I'll raise my voice a bit. I'm asking you whether you see the construction of an international...
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir? Well, I think that Mr. Taki is not clearly hearing me. Mr. Taki is a development planner, and we're trying to tease out his views on the construction of International Airport in Tamale. So, Mr. Taki, if you could hear me, I'm asking a simple question, that from your standpoint, do you feel that siting an international airport in Tamale is positive? Well, we're not getting Frank Taki. We'll get him back on, but we still have Mrs. Bawa Mokhtari. Frank Taki, if you're there, Mr. Taki, can you hear me? Good evening.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, great. I'm asking you, I said that the president has given reasons for citing this international airport in Tamale. Some of the reason includes that this will provide a good avenue of transportation for the agro-processing industry and export of vegetables to the European market. That is one. Do you see this as positive, the construction of an international airport in Tamale?
Oh yeah, I mean this is something long overdue. It's quite strategic. It's been on the national agenda for controlling our urbanization strategy.
Right.
You know, we have a north-south divide, and the spatial disagreement between the north and the south. Everything is skewed towards Accra and the southern sector. So we needed to have an agenda to get the northern hemisphere of part of the country, spatially equitably distributed with resources and services. So an airport in that part of the country helps to cut this kind of skewness towards Accra. That's on the national point.
Right.
But on the ECOWAS point of view, you see that it also fits into an agenda for the Malis and the Burkina Fasos, Cote d'Ivoire, even Nigeria, Cameroon. That part of the ECOWAS sub-region.
Even Burkina Faso.
That makes Tamale a possibility of becoming a sub-regional growth center to compete with Accra, and that basically fits into a national
So Mr. Taki, the key question I've been asking is this economically viable to put, for example, $100 million into?
Of course, it is. It is. I mean, clearly, you're looking at it even from the national perspective. It is. I mean, why should we have a situation where everything ends in Accra? You must have a situation where you have an alternative. And looking at the northern sector, starting from Kumasi upwards towards the north. In terms of the spatial equilibrium, I mean, there's a bit of unfairness in how services are distributed. So from that point of view alone, but if you look at it within the ECOWAS sub-region, we stand to gain as a nation to have a growth center up north there in the Tamale, taking care of not only the northern sector of Ghana, but looking northwards towards Mali, Burkina Faso. The resource potential of those areas, the growth potential has not really been fully exploited for lack of such an investment. So I think it fits in both on the national economic agenda and both on the sub-regional agenda, professionally speaking. Yes, that's correct.
Right, Mr. Taki, I'll hold it briefly and I'll wrap with the Deputy Minister. So, Madam, it's good news that Frank Taki, who's a development planner, agrees with the view of government that this is positive, that it's good for us to expand development up north. So, moving forward, what are the plans for the other areas? For example, Bolga, I'm sure that the northern sector can access one airport, but what happens to Takoradi and Cape Coast and the other parts of
I think I have actually explained that to you and to your listeners, and I'm happy that the development consultant has agreed with me.
That's right.
Remember that government's main reason is not to work just for any particular aspect of the country. Government is actually supposed to implement all sorts of things that would benefit the entire citizenry. I would also like to indicate that all that we've been saying all these minutes is just to indicate that several plans are on the drawing card.
That's right.
The Sunyani Airport is ready for an upgrade. The Kumasi is actually presently, if you visit Kumasi today, you'll see the extent of the facelift that airport is receiving. If you visit Cape Coast, we have the same thing at hand. We're trying to expand that airstrip. We're doing the same for Bolgatanga. In fact, yesterday, the president assured the regional minister that efforts be made to provide an airstrip in Bolgatanga as well. Remember that even Go has come into the fray. And in all of this, we still have a medium to long-term plan to develop another international airport at Tampram.
Right.
Transportation is actually the key to development.
Madam, I'm afraid our time is up.
Transport system, it would benefit everybody, including your good self.
Right. I'm very grateful for your time, Madam. We ran out of time. This is all we can take. And Frank Taki, I'm sorry I couldn't come back to you, but we're grateful for joining us at such a short notice. My name is Stephen Anti, and thanks to you all for watching. We'll be right back with the interactive segment. Stay with us.